Her son remained calm as the judge read the sentence, death by execution.
Josue Flores was murdered last Tuesday on his way home from school.
The men confessed to shooting the teen execution style.
There was some satanic type activity taking place.
Officers tell us Trujillo stabbed her boyfriend with stiletto heel shoes.
2-year-old Riley Ann Sawyer's brutal killing shocked the nation. She was beaten to death, stuffed in a plastic box found by a fisherman in Galveston Bay.
Former NFL player Antonio Armstrong Sr. and his wife, Dawn Armstrong, were murdered.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Antonio Armstrong Jr., guilty.
One by one, they described the deaths of the alleged other 8 victims of the convicted rail car killer.
I can't even put it in words. Sometimes I'm having to grab my brain and just ask God to give me wisdom, give me peace, give me my mind.
Friday, July 29, 2016. Your name?
AJ.
Police found the couple shot at a home on Palmetto and Maple Ridge Street.
A heartbreaking turn of events. There have been people coming and going in and out of the house to find out what happened here.
Dawn and Antonio Armstrong Sr. were found shot to death on July 29th at their home on Palmetto in Southwest Houston.
Officers found both parents in their bedroom before 2 o'clock this morning.
So one of the first officers who got on scene, got inside, found the Armstrongs in their bed and looked at some of the evidence there. They radioed down and said, hey, separate AJ and his sister.
At the time of the incident, there were only 4 people in the home that we know of, the parents and the 2 children.
I had my best friend fighting for his life.
Newly published court documents state Armstrong Jr. planned and practiced the murder of his parents.
Then I had AJ that I had to find out who was taking care of him, what was going on, because I found out they took him into custody. Dawn and Antonio would have wanted me to have taken care of AJ.
Antonio Armstrong Jr. always said an intruder killed his parents, not him.
You don't have to trust us. You can trust Antonio Sr., who called him a liar and a schemer. But he's still 16. And that crime scene just speaks like a 16-year-old did it.
They said they didn't see any broken windows, no forced entries at the door, allowing them to believe that whoever committed this crime was inside the home.
Therein lies the mystery here. Who shot whom and why?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Antonio Armstrong Jr., guilty of capital murder. It is now the order of this court that you be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 40 calendar years. You'll be transported by the sheriff to that institution where you will serve out the remainder of life, and you'll get credit for all of your back time. Good luck to you, sir.
How do you all feel right now?
It's absolutely devastating. AJ is grown up with us. As I said in my closing, over the last 7 years, we've seen him grown up from a 16-year-old to a young man, father, husband. It's devastating.
First, I can see your eyes. It has been a rough 7 years.
When I got the phone call, I was on I-10, headed back home, almost in Lafayette.
And you must have been just struck by that.
I couldn't believe it.
You've talked to AJ, you say, every single day.
I keep encouraging him. We read scriptures. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a lot.
He misses his son. That's the hardest part for him, his son and his wife, especially his son. Since the trial, the day of the verdict, it's like we relived what happened 7 years ago, this time just worse.
Just because there's not gunshot residue, just because there's not fingerprints, reality is we rarely have that kind of stuff. Reality is the evidence was always strong. The challenge has always been is people can't get their head around how someone so young and so handsome with the support of his family could have done what he did. And you know, a big piece of evidence, and it happened twice, is in the 911 call.
The 911 call, he's very calm. It's a 16-minute call, and it may be the most calm 911 I've ever heard in my career.
And your name?
AJ. Remember in the 911 he says, I heard 2 gunshots.
Any medical attention needed?
I heard gunshots, I don't really know. I went down the stairs, saw a crack in my parents' door, and I immediately called y'all.
In your parents' bedroom?
Yes.
Did it sound like a handgun, rifle, or shotgun?
I'm not out there going upstairs or anything like that. I know my dad has a gun.
5 hours later to homicide, he says, heard gunshots.
And I was making my way down the stairs, and that's when I heard the gunshots, when I got like 4 or 5 stairs down, and I like looked.
How many you heard?
I mean, I think I heard 2, but it may have been 3. I'm not really like 100% positive, but like, I know it's 2 or 3.
And then I saw the masked man running from my parents' bedroom, and then I called 911.
And like I saw someone like coming out, so I just took off back upstairs. They had it was like a mask, and like you could only see the eyes and the mouth, but he looked like a black guy, but I'm not like 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure it was an African American, and like I'd say like 6 feet maybe, somewhere around there. I couldn't give you like an age range. I didn't really like get to see his face or anything like that.
So for him to go to that, to all of a sudden, oh, there was a masked man in my house and I needed to go get my sister, to me and John, I think too, was one of the biggest inconsistencies.
Well, that would be the first words out of your mouth. There's a masked man in my house. Please come help my sister and I. And so there's a reason in 3 trials the defense never even touched the subject, because there's no logical explanation for leaving that out.
Why, when AJ walked out of that door and he said somebody was in the house, the officer that he's told that to has never come forth? His sister heard it, another officer heard it, but then he can't testify. He testified in the first trial, but he can't testify in other trials because it's hearsay.
And in the 911, he's confident to go to the door. First, he's confident to go get his sister and then let law enforcement in, as opposed to saying, tell them to come into the house, there's a masked man in the house. So it is really just overwhelming that even folks who support him will never be able to answer that question. In addition, in order to go get his sister to that house somehow he knows is alive, he has to bypass his parents' bedroom and never look in. He didn't look in because he didn't have to look in because he had already killed his parents.
They're asking you to step out of the house.
So I get my sister?
Hold on.
I need to leave the house?
Yes.
What about my little sister?
Let me ask. And she's on the 2nd floor?
Yeah. Tara, you gotta get up. Come on, you gotta get up. Come on. Tara, I need you to get up. Tara, I need you to get up. Come with me. Come with me. You gotta go outside. I was up in the bathroom and I heard gunshots and all. You gotta go outside and figure out what's going on. Just come on, just grab my hand and stay behind me. Please just stay there.
Yeah, I'm the one that called.
Tara, come on. Tara, come on. Tara, come on.
He was caught in a few lies, though.
Absolutely. Tell me who doesn't lie when they're scared. Okay? You have adults lie when they're scared. That's what causes people to lie. Fear. AJ was scared when he was talking to those officers. You know, this is a 16-year-old kid.
When you look up, there's a bullet hole in the ceiling that comes from the loft, which is your bedroom. Hole in the ceiling. And it comes through the floor. From the loft, from your room upstairs.
Yeah.
Where your room is.
The third floor.
Yeah.
There's a bullet hole.
And then on the floor, there's an actual bullet that was actually fired.
How long has that been there?
Well, that's why we're talking to you, because there's fresh sheetrock on the floor.
Right.
So, and that's kind of what we're getting at. There's things out there that we're trying to figure out how this has happened. You know, if there's 2 gunshots or 4 gunshots.
Right.
How do we have one that's coming from the room upstairs, and then we've got other ones in there?
I can explain the gun from the room upstairs. It was like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. Like me and one of my friends was just like playing around, and they were about to leave, and he was like, "Hey, well, not really. He was like me. I was like, "Hey, like, have you ever shot a gun before?" And they were like, "Nah, I've never done it." And I was like, "Do you want me to show you how to?" And like, I like went and checked the 3 places, and the gun was under my dad's bed, and I like laid the pillow. I laid my pillow, and then like a blanket over it and a blanket under it, thinking like that would stop it, but I guess it did not stop it.
Yeah.
And I truly think that when he fired it through the floor of his room, I don't think he knew it went down to the 2nd floor. I don't think he knew the bullet went through the floor. I think he truly believed, like he said, that it stopped it. So when they encounter and confront him with that, I don't think he had an answer prepared.
Now, see, and that kind of goes back to what we were saying just a minute ago. You know, because a few minutes ago you said that you haven't seen it, you haven't shot it since you were a kid, and then now we kind of give you a little more, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. So, you know,
I understand.
We don't want to keep getting deeper into this because there's more. I mean, that's the thing is, and ultimately, you know, if the gun was fired tonight, you know, again, the GSR test is going to show it.
Exactly.
So to say that you didn't, or it was fired.
I didn't fire it tonight.
No.
Last time I fired was like 2-3 weeks ago, and I put a. I guess my parents just never saw that. Cause I mean that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's what I'm saying. Is even if you wash your hands, whatever you have, it's still going to show.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying is, you know,
something from like 3 weeks ago. You think?
No.
Oh,
you fired the gun tonight.
His whole reasoning for firing the weapon is because his friend had never heard a weapon fired. And so when they circle back in the interview to try to find out who that friend is, he then says, oh, he had left. Well, I'm confused because I thought that's why you fired the weapon in the first place. And the point is, that friend doesn't exist. Because if that friend did exist, they would have called him to the stand and said it was a couple weeks before the murders.
I don't care how many times he lied. He was scared.
I can tell you now, there's like nothing that will come back that it's on me. There will be no gunpowder. There's my fingerprints on nothing like that will come back on me. I had nothing to do with this.
Okay. Now, but you understand where I'm coming from.
I understand where you're coming from. Because when I explained it to my brother, he thought the exact same thing. So like he thought there was something like there's something missing. But I understand where you're coming from.
You had no physical evidence linking him to the crime.
And it was. I mean, the circumstantial evidence was huge. You know, you asked us before, what's the one thing that was most powerful? There isn't just one thing. It's a conglomerate of a bunch of things. But those circumstances are so strong.
My question is, are they going to take that tack, which they really sort of keyed in on, at least in 2022, and I think the first trial too, back in 19, was that idea that, look, this home was sealed. The burglar alarm was on. The doors and windows weren't breached, although there's a little bit of, depending on your point of view on that. Are they going to take that tack this time?
Oh yeah, they have to. To me, it's just their strongest piece of evidence is that alarm system was never tripped the entire night. So if it was never tripped, that means no one came in and no one left out. That is their strongest piece of evidence. Just as much as the prosecution is arguing, hey, this alarm system was never tripped, nothing could have come in or out, no one coming in or out, the defense is going to say, yeah, but it's not foolproof.
Both ADT and Alarm.com testified that they didn't perform any testing at all on the alarm equipment at the Armstrong's residence. They didn't perform any kind of testing on the accuracy of the records contained in their documentation. They did nothing. They just blindly say, hey, here's our records, you have to believe them. This young man right here deserves far more than to have his future determined based on faulty, unreliable, error-ridden records from an alarm company that can't stand up to their own records, their own accuracy.
Let's talk about some things. Talk about the alarm system. Attorney Chris Collins showed evidence that ADT records said one thing, Alarm.com's record said another thing, and not only that, help me unless there's something wrong with my mind. How does a 12-year-old girl get woken up and all she sees is police officers? And an officer asks her about that alarm system. She says it's finicky. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
When you understand the alarm system and the records, it narrows it down to the number of people who could have committed this crime in the entire world to 2 people. And it was him or it was his sister. And then I kind of, in trial 3, looked at that first and then worked my way back and said, okay, what do we know about him? What do we know about his sister? And then it became very clear as to who committed the crime.
Alarm information. They have an expert, you have an expert, you're showing faults. They're trying to show that these faults don't mean anything. The house was sealed up. Do you feel like you had the right experts?
So how I answered that is the way we prepared for trial 3 was based on trial 1 and 2, the things that we did and we know that worked. Then we got into trial and they hired another expert, and the first expert in the second trial said he changed his testimony. So how do we prepare for that?
We found out in between trial 2 and trial 3 how much Jason DaCosta from Alarm.com really knew. We flew him down to Houston and we met with him and we spent hours with him. And after that, we walked away from that meeting saying, we got it, because the alarm system was working.
The Alarm.com SVP of the organization comes, and I think he helped prosecutors a lot. They had a board which showed all of the goings and happenings of the Armstrong home. He said their home was extremely active, and then prosecutors used that to kind of narrow the times to show the jurors that this alarm system worked flawlessly. Then the defense came back and showed them a few points where there were issues with the alarm system.
So when an expert testifies under oath in trial number 2 and says, we agree there was 77 errors, and then trial number 3, we don't know he's gonna say this, he says, oh, that wasn't right, I was wrong about that. It seems desperate. It seems like they're trying to get the expert that fits their case. They knew that was a problem and they found someone else to say, well, maybe that expert was wrong, but what I'm saying now is right.
You never bought the theory that the alarm system records weren't reliable, the 77 faults in 1 month?
I don't, because there isn't 77 faults in 1 month. The records were misinterpreted, my belief, based on taking 2 entries and just having the expert read it and then the defense argue it without ever asking for the expert to explain it.
What we learned was that this Alarm.com is a software for basically all of the alarm companies. So we just had the wrong person in the second trial, and we had that appropriate expert to properly explain the records. Now, people are not going to convict somebody of capital murder based on alarm records. Now, it helps, and it's going to secure it, and they're going to feel good about it because the alarm records don't lie. Dawn told us that, right?
After the break, the video you haven't seen. The moment a blood spatter expert discovered new DNA evidence that would change the course of the trial. Plus, the audio recording never played in court. And the alternate theory about who killed Dawn and Antonio Armstrong.
We heard that there was a delay. The judge comes in and says something has happened outside of the court's control, and we were all in the courtroom like, what? What's going on? What's happened?
For a second time, the judge in the AJ Armstrong capital murder case delays the start of the trial. Multiple sources tell KPRC2 investigates the reason behind this delay centers around the clothing.
One of my first questions was, what? Like 7 years later, we're finding new evidence. I was like, what? We all, while we're talking about it, we're kind of all confused. Where is this happening? What did this come from? And it was a whirlwind.
In 7 years, there's not been one person, anyone who was with him, near him, by him, who said there's blood.
And to be honest with you, when John and I prepped this case, we never even looked at it. Never even looked. Because the lab had tested it in 2016 and told us there's no blood anywhere on his clothes. We took them at their word, there wasn't. And Shelley Rossi went down that Friday on June 2nd of this year, and she wanted to look at the pillows. And when she found out the defendant's clothing the night of the murder was still in evidence, she wanted to look at it.
Sergeant Rossi with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office was kind of the witness everyone was waiting to hear from. She was the one who found that new DNA evidence under the name tag sticker. From what we all gathered during her testimony, she said as an expert in blood spatter, she wanted to see it herself. She wanted to just see what we understood. She just wanted to see the bloody pillows is what she said and testified to. Either she saw a lift on the name tag sticker itself, but for whatever reason she said, well, she lifted it up. She lifted the name tag. Apparently no one had done it in the last 7 years or so. So she lifts the name tag, and that's when she says she saw specks.
And what she found underneath that badge, we now know, is Antonio Sr.'s blood. And why is his father's blood on his clothes when, according to the defendant, he never went in and checked on them?
She believed that AJ, after killing his parents, that he went on his dad's side, grabbed a pillow to cover his dad's head, and before Antonio Sr. passed, he was still breathing for air.
We know that when Antonio Sr. was shot, he was facing away from his wife. We know that he had, from the EMT who testified, he had blood all in his nose area and coming out of his mouth. They had to go get a device to suction it out. And we can see the spatter on the bed. Those photos are in evidence, you can see. That is expiration blood that he is expiring from his mouth as he fights for his life.
Rossi comes in. We can't testify about the blast spatter. The bed's laid out. They say Senior is expiration. They came up with that story. She says the blood's coming out of his mouth. Remember this? It gets even worse.
We know that the person who did this put those pillows over his face. And he had to come close enough in contact to do that. Those blood spatters will dry in air.
She said the blood coming out of Antonio Sr.'s mouth was drying in midair. Heard of such a thing? From 1.5 feet away, the blood that's being expired is dry. I think I used it one too many times. It's a sign. Is drying in midair. Does that make any sense to you?
DeToto used those spray bottles to show that if there was this expiration blood that Sergeant Rossi said Antonio Armstrong was doing at that night, wouldn't there be more blood on him?
When I had the little squirt bottle, I was trying to show the jury that if there's expiration happening, there's going to be blood everywhere. So we thought that was important. So she's testifying because she knows she has to figure out how do we get the specks on the sticker without there being a corresponding blood stain. So we're going to come up with this theory. It's raining specks. It's raining flecks. The whole deal about the shooter coming around to the side of the bed is pure speculation. We'll take that. It's raining flecks.
And then Sergeant Rossi comes in and says, well, that's not how the blood functions or how it worked.
Mr. Antonio criticizes her to say that blood dries in the air. That's a fact, and she's a blood spatter expert and she knows blood.
Charlie Rossi testified to that. They will dry in air and they will become like salt or gunshot residue. The defendant didn't have that sticker placed on him until 5 hours later. And during that time, who knows if more spatters fell off. But what we do know is when that sticker was placed on his chest, it preserved it, it time-stamped it, and there it stayed for 7 years until she went and looked at it.
There's 2 points that were most striking in the trial. Number one is to show the way that prosecutors handle evidence in the courtroom. You see how they take out evidence and they kind of flop it back in a box, and there's boxes everywhere, and there's pillows, and there's blankets, and there's all kinds of things out there. That's happened twice before in this trial.
The defense in this case claims cross-contamination. They say Lester Blizzard touched the bloody pillows, and then he touched the shirt, and he could have put his finger underneath the badge.
It gets even more unbelievable. In a previous hearing, Mr. Blizzard, fine gentleman, came in, and we showed y'all that he handled the evidence. No gloves, bloody pillow. No gloves, bloody pillow. Y'all saw that, right? You see Mr. Blizzard handling the shirt right by the sticker. Saw that? Remember that? We're not here to tell you that Mr. Blizzard contaminated the blood. I think they're confused about that. We're here to tell you that the history of the evidence does matter. And you get to see over 7 years what's happened to that evidence.
If Lester Blizzard put his finger underneath the badge, put it on the sticky side of the badge, you would expect his epithelial cells, contact DNA, to come off of his skin. But when they tested it, it wasn't there. It was a single source DNA profile, and it was the blood of Antonio Sr.
Number two, we were able to show that when we got the pillows from the property room, there were specks of blood there. We took those boxes, but then they got 2 new boxes, and in the middle of trial, there were specks of blood shedding from those pillows. So, I thought that was pretty effective for purposes of that evidence. We just didn't think it was credible. We can call it the Hail Mary pass. The last minute pass, gotta figure out how to get it. Prosecutor's job is to seek justice, not to win. Their job is to seek justice.
I just want the public to know that the evidence was always there. It's not something that John and I created or something we found. It was always there.
The reason why I said you don't need it is because we trust you. And we know, despite what they may think, there's a mountain of evidence pointing at one person. One person. That's it.
Next on the evidence room.
Do you think this is related to the homicide, or do you think it's just 2 independent things?
An audio recording left behind and not allowed in court. Hear what one woman said could have played a role in the Armstrongs' murders.
They hid evidence, they lost evidence, and then on the eve of trial, they found evidence. And I think the public needs to understand the frustration this family has going through the criminal justice system with all these twists and turns. There's some other things that have gotten lost too. If you remember, the district attorney's office made the unfortunate decision to hold on to an audio tape for 18 months, in which a witness said that there was death threats against Antonio Sr. I don't know if you remember that, but we filed some motions to dismiss on that.
We didn't hear anything about that.
That there was a money prostitution ring that my husband, my sister-in-law, Antonio, and another individual were all involved in during this time. And so I didn't know, like the call records are all like crazy. The one woman that was with Antonio has contact. I don't know if it's the pimp or whatnot, but I just felt like I don't know if y'all knew that or were aware of the prostitution thing.
So do you think this is related to the homicide, or do you think it's just two independent things?
I think it's related because the way, like, the money involved and there was a thing about keeping quiet. And so it was right before, like, they had the death threats and they had changed their life insurance. Like, they were doing all of these things. And my husband and Antonio talked 4 days before the murder. And so I, like, literally, like, Monday and then he died. Now, I don't think my husband had any, I don't know what was talked about. I don't know. He said, oh, yeah, we just hugged, and just, said a prayer together or whatnot. It could be completely two independent things, but because it was it's the one connection. It is the one connection between all of them.
But he could just be, he could be a sugar daddy. He could be a guy with money that...
He could be with a whole bunch of attractive women that like to get paid. Could be.
I've heard of worse.
Try explaining to Ms. K why the Harris County District Attorney's Office hid exculpatory evidence in terms of an audio for 18 months.
I will never publicly criticize this family at all. They're victims too. And it is what it is. And the family decided to rally behind AJ Armstrong. In the process, his older brother was also accused in open court. That I'll never understand. And it was tough for Brian and I to attempt to get justice for Antonio Sr. and Dawn. And it's the first time in my career I didn't have a family behind me.
I believe the prosecution did what they did to get a win at whatever cost. Not justice, not looking out for us, the family. Not trying to see to it that justice was served, but to get a win at whatever cost.
I think to the public, if the family's behind them, then maybe I'm missing something. If you remember in closing argument, I said, families rally behind defendants all the time because their job is to love them unconditionally. Maybe that's it. But any objective person that looks at the evidence, I think, will come to the same conclusion that this jury did.
If there was just one inkling that AJ did this, kill my oldest son that I carried for 9 months and gave birth to and destroyed our family like this, and my daughter-in-law, her parents, there's no way we would be supporting him, backing him, and fighting for him. Who would do that? We're fighting for him because he's not guilty. I think anybody that has the thought of what you just shared with me apparently have never lost anybody close and dear to them. You couldn't have. How on earth could a mother in the name of Jesus. How can a mother forget her child? How could a mother forget her beautiful daughter-in-law, the parents to her grandchildren, their family? How can you ever forget a family member that is no longer here?
It was that, I'm going to speak for Dawn, and they're the only folks who can exonerate her innocent son and hold her guilty son accountable for killing her and the love of her life.
I am so disappointed in how they have handled this entire matter with my grandson and our family, and to have the gall to say that you are getting justice for Antonio and Dawn? How dare you? You didn't know my son and my daughter-in-law. You never met them. If you cared about them, what about us that's here alive, living, taxpayers, abiding citizens? What about us? They can't feel nothing, but we do. And we're now having to take these pieces. You're not on the other line here, my grandson. You're not there with his wife and his little 2-year-old son getting ready to be 3, asking for his daddy. Our entire family, church members, community and friends, everybody is crying, this is an injustice. How did it happen?
If AJ didn't kill your son and your daughter-in-law, who did?
That's what the police were supposed to find out.
There's something I'll add about AJ, and I tell everyone who asks me about this case, because everyone knew the Armstrong family. If you spend an hour with that young man, you will absolutely believe that he could not be involved in this. He's respectful, he's smart, he would help us carry the boxes in and out of the courtroom, but over the course of the years that we've represented him, he's become kind of like a stepson. And you just cannot spend time with that young man for any period of time and think that he had anything to do with this.
You're of the same mind.
Oh yeah, I think AJ is an outstanding young man. I mean, he has manners and he's a godly man and he helps out and he's a proud father. And when I'm on the phone with him, I could hear his little boy Hendrix in the background. He's a great husband.
Do you think he's really going to spend the next 40 years behind bars?
If we have anything to do with that, he will not. That verdict broke my heart. It still breaks my heart if I sit here and think about it. It knocked us down, but we're getting back up and we're going to continue fighting.
What I would like to say to you, because we still have things going on at this time, I would just like to say I know right now, without a shadow of a doubt, that AJ is not guilty.